Hey everyone. We'll give it a few minutes or a couple of seconds at least and see if everybody is able to get on. It wasn't as hard for me this week. I finally think I figured it out, but we'll see if I remember next week how I did it. Sometimes it's a little bit of a learning curve, right? So I am going to mute myself so that I don't have any feedback. Okay. So I would love for you all to tell me what your favorite type of salad is. If you like just vegetable, or if you like a little bit of fruit in your salad, or maybe you don't even like salad at all and you're hoping to learn how to appreciate salad. I'm hoping to show you today how you can keep your salad as fresh as possible so that you can meal prep it once for the week, because it is a lot of chopping and not everybody enjoys chopping as much as I do. Um, and I'm going to show you how you can store it in order to keep it as fresh as possible. Um, if we get time, I might talk a little bit about salad dressings, but I might save that for next week going live, because I'd like to show you several different salad dressings, especially some oil-free salad dressings that you can enjoy. Now, I have a really huge pile of veg over here I'm going to show you and talk about. I belong to a CSA. If you aren't familiar with that, it's a community supported agriculture. So there is a local farmer near me that has a beautiful farm. It is organic. He's just not certified organic, so he doesn't have to jump through all of the hoops of what that entails. But I love him because he farms the way the Bible tells us to, right? He lets a field rest for a while after 7 years, lets the soil replenish. He plants different plants around each other so that it helps stop bugs and infestation and things like that. He's very natural. Love his veg. And if you haven't had fresh farmers market veg, then get ready, because it will start probably in April, at least in my area. That's when they start, and it is delicious. And a lot of farmers now are planting in the greenhouses and things like that, the really large ones. And so you can get some really nice veg that's crisp and delicious in April. So don't stay away from those farmers markets. But that being said, if you can get your hands on that farm fresh veg, that is the best, because it's going to stay fresh longer. The stuff that's in the store has been shipped, obviously, we know that. And so it doesn't have as long of a lifespan. But hopefully I can show you how to make it a little bit longer and some tips and tricks as to how to do that. Okay, let's get going. So my husband went and picked up our veg from the CSA. I'm going to just kind of unbox it and show you what we got. Sometimes I have to read the label because I don't even know what he's growing this week. All right, so we got some sweet potatoes. We're not going to mess with those today, but yeah, they're pretty dirty. That's what you get from a fresh farmer. You get some dirty sweet potatoes. I'm going to put them down there. All right. We have salad turnips. Now, if you haven't had a salad turnip, you are missing out too. They're just like radishes, but without the massive bite. So they don't have the heat. They just have the really nice crunch. They're maybe even a little bit sweet, not really, but sweeter than a radish. I haven't done anything with the greens on them yet, but I'm open to suggestion. If you've ever used them, let me know. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and chop off one because I want to show you what we're going to do with that in a moment. Okay, what else do we get? We got, let's see, I don't know, that looks like arugula. Yes, a bag of arugula. So we're going to use that today in our salad. We have a bag of komatsuna. Never had it, never tried it. Let me know if you have. All right, we're going to use that today because that looks nice. And I have some kale left over. So I just kind of dropped that in here so we could use that. I'm going to show you how to use the kale. Claytonia, I hope I'm saying that right, microgreens. I love these things. They're fantastic on salads, on sandwiches. They're just delicious. Just add a nice little bright freshness. Let's see, we've got a bag of spinach. And I have a bag of, that's some more of the komatsuna. Hopefully I'm saying that right as well. And I thought I had, we got some collard greens. Delish. So these are fantastic for wraps if you haven't used them. And I will put these in my salad. I like some chew and bite and crunch to my salad. So I'll show you how to do that too. And I think that's probably what we're going to use today in our salad. Oh, here we go. My lettuce greens. So he grows some really fantastic salad greens, leaf lettuce. It's beautiful. I love it. All right, I'm just going to set that there for now. I keep dropping my kitchen towel. I don't know about you, but mine will not stay hooked. All right, so here's what we're going to do with your greens. Whether you get them from the store or you get them fresh from your farmer, I really recommend that you go ahead and wash them. Now, my farmer stores everything in these little plastic bags, and they'll stay for a little bit because they're so fresh. But you and I know the ones from the store are not fresh. And especially this little purple leaf lettuce likes to get really gross and slimy, and I find it very annoying. So that's my little rant. All right, with our kale, if you've never used kale before, you're just going to go against the grain, rip it off of that stem, because that stem is super chewy and you won't be able to probably chew through that. If you do, you won't enjoy it. All right, so I'm just going to put one leaf of that in there just to show you. We're going to go quick. And then a collard green, kind of the same way. I'm going to rip it against the grain. And we're going to cut this up here in a second, so don't worry about how big I'm leaving everything. If you don't enjoy a really hearty, bitey salad, then, you don't have to put these greens in there. You can use them in something else. You could saute them. But I'm just going to show you. It's nice to have a good mixture of greens so that you're making sure you get all of your bases covered nutritionally. We're going to add the spinach. My farmer's spinach is notoriously filthy because he grows it right. And I'm going to rip off the really hard stems. You don't have to, but I don't know. I just kind of do. If I miss a few, who cares? All right. Then I've got trash right there. So then we've got our whatever, let's see, komatsuna. Okay. And these they almost look like dandelion greens. These have long stems, so I'm probably going to just rip a few of those off. But there we go. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. And that was our other bag of that. Okay, and then our microgreens. You can grow microgreens at home so easily. Maybe I'll do a live stream on that. They're fantastic. They grow in just a few days, and you've got some really delicious, nutritious greens. Lost my train of thought because I was going to talk to you about cilantro. If you aren't adding herbs to your salads, I really recommend finding some that you enjoy and using those because it really packs a flavorful punch. And I really like cilantro. I know some people, you either love it or you hate it. So pick your herb of choice. Now that's what I've got. So these are my greens. And what I do, I've just got my water here just to demo. Cold water will restore the greens. So if you have some, like my kale was a little limp, if you've got some limp greens, the cold water is going to revive them. And this is just my salad spinner. If you don't have one, I really recommend you find one, get one. I'll put a link to the one I have in the description. I will say I broke my all-time favorite, but this is a close second. And I'm just going to, you know, scrub them a little bit. I'm just going to rinse them down, shove them down onto that. This inner piece has some grooves that you can kind of wash the salad against. And usually I will triple wash, but for the sake of this video, I don't want to have to drag you over to the sink and that kind of a thing. So I'm only going to single wash. But again, I dropped my towel. I'm going to quit hooking it. I also put some vinegar in the first wash, and then I do 2 more washes after that. And these don't have to last very long. The vinegar, I'm just going to put maybe a 1/4 cup. Depends on how many greens you've got. And then I'm going to slosh that around. And typically what I will do is let that set while I'm chopping the vegetables. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave that. And we're going to move that out of the way while we talk about what vegetables do you want to add to your salad that are going to last all week. Now, here's what you need to know. The ones that have a lot of moisture content, you do not want to put in your salad prep. Okay. You want to add those as you go. So right before you serve, you're going to add your bell peppers or your cucumber. You do not want to add, and I'll talk about this foil in a moment. You don't want to add wet vegetables to your meal prep salads. They will disintegrate quickly, they will rot, and they will ruin and spoil your entire salad. So why do I have my cucumber wrapped in foil? Well, first of all, they are ultra expensive, I think, and they rot very quickly. But I have come to learn that if you will take them out of the plastic and wrap them in foil, and I know some people are very opposed to foil. I completely understand it. I'm pretty well opposed to plastic as well. But what are you going to do? It's the world we live in. So I'm going to take it out of the plastic because that makes it rot faster. And I'm going to wrap it in foil because that makes it last longer. And I'm going to make sure that it's all covered. There we go. And that will make it last longer. Again, do not add that until you're ready to serve. Now, what can I pre-chop and add to my salad? Lots of stuff. So you could add a zucchini, squash, whatever you call it in your area, because it doesn't have the same amount of moisture as the cucumber. However, I don't. I still wait on these. But broccoli is fantastic because it doesn't have a lot of moisture. Cauliflower, fantastic. You could add those. And onion, I probably would not add until day of. They get a little funky and you don't want to, they can get some little toxin kind of thing going on, and you don't want to deal with that. So add that right before you serve. But the broccoli, you can definitely do. Green onions, you can definitely do. These I got a couple of weeks ago. But this is how long my farmer's green onions last, right? They're, yeah, very hardy. Tomatoes, you can add them whole like this. However, tomatoes need to be stored on the counter. They are not as good in the refrigerator. They get a little mealy. So I recommend adding them as you go. But if you're going to, especially if you're going to cut them in half, if you're going to pop them like this, you could absolutely, especially cherry and grape tomatoes, they don't get as mealy as like Roma and things like that. Asparagus. If you've never had just raw asparagus in a salad, you're missing out. I really recommend that you give that a try. And it is very hearty, and they are delicious right now because it's their season. So I just kind of chop those into bite-sized pieces. And because I don't have a lot of room on my cutting board, right now. I'm going to probably make a mess. That's all right. Who cares? Okay. Avocado. No, because it's going to get gross and mushy. Add it as you go. And celery. Absolutely. Right. It stays crunchy. It stays okay. I would add it if I liked it. I don't like it. My husband does. So I'll add it to his, or better yet, I just give it to him for lunch. Carrots. Yes, you can add carrots. And I go ahead and I just buy the shredded organic. You know, you got to save time somewhere. But you could absolutely cut carrots and add those in for your meal prep. Snap peas. Absolutely. I love snap peas. They're a hearty, nice little green that you could add as you go for that meal prep. Radishes. Yes, you could add those. Trying to think if there's any other veg that you're thinking of and you're wondering if you can add it, feel free to put that in the chat and I will see if I can give you a good answer. So on the salad turnip that I got from the farmer, I am going to clean it, and I could absolutely add this in with the lettuce and let it clean. And I'm doing a really bad chop job on this just because time. But I won't. I just cut the whole thing. All right. So we're just going to chop it up into bite-sized pieces. There we go. It kind of has the texture of a raw potato, if you're wondering. Mushrooms, I would add those. You could add them. It just depends on how fresh your mushrooms are, right? These are super fresh. So I could probably add those if I were going to have the salad within 2 days. But if I'm not going to add them. So I'm going to wait on those. Okay. So our salad is washed. Let's just give it one more little quick. All right. So I'm going to dump this out. Be right back. Okay, I'm going to give it a quick rinse because it does have that vinegar on it. All right, and then I'm going to show you how this little spinner works if you aren't familiar with one. So you have an internal piece that fits onto that green groovy piece, and then your top lid. And this one pulls. Some of them press. This one pulls. And so I really like that. Makes me feel like I'm exercising. Then I'm going to hit that button and make it stop real quick to shake off any of the moisture. So you can see I got, I don't know, like 1/4 cup of water off of that. Let me dump it. And then I'm going to show you. I usually do it a couple times. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I got another tablespoon probably of water. So that is how you can have a fresh, clean salad and yet it's dry. Okay? And I could probably do it again if I wanted to. I'm not going to get much off of there. But what I will do is I'm going to put this in my bowl that I'm going to store it in for the week. Now, I kind of like to store in glass or ceramic rather than plastic. That's just my preference. Okay, let's get all that out of there. Let me put this in the sink. Okay, so here we go. Now, here's the deal. If you cut, especially like iceberg lettuce with a knife or anything like that, it will get rusty, right? You've seen that rusty looking iceberg. You could cut with scissors. That's what I'm going to do. But I, again, like really big, hearty salads, so I'm not going to go crazy. There we go. We're going to call that good. Get all my good stuff in there. Okay. Then what I could do, if I felt like it was still wet, is just take that paper towel or a clean dish towel. I don't have one, so I'm taking the paper. And just going to gently toss that salad, get all in there, and try to get any remaining moisture off. You don't have to be vigilant about it and make sure that you see all dry specks. It's going to be fine. But you can see my paper towel's a little bit damp. Let's just clean up here. Clean as you go. Okay. So with this salad, then I'm going to add my hearty vegetables. I'm going to add my salad turnips. I'm going to add my radishes if I had some. I'm going to add the snap peas. I'm going to add my asparagus. And I could add my green onion, but I didn't clean any and it's pretty dirty. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to add some broccoli. I like, again, big chunks. I don't need super fine salad. I like to chew, make myself feel like I'm really eating a lot. So we're just going to put that broccoli in there. And then I'm not going to add the tomatoes yet because I want to save those. I am going to add the carrots. Okay. I'm going to give it a good toss. Make sure it's all in there. Boom. There we go. Now, here's how you want to store it. Just like you stored your cucumber, we are going to add aluminum foil. Again, I get it if you have an issue with it, but this is the best way that I have found to store a salad and make it last all week. Now, you might be able to get by with putting parchment paper over the top and then foil. I have not tried it. If you try it, please let me know in the comments if that works for you. Or if you have a better way of storing salad for a week, let me know. I would love to hear it. But right here is how I store it. And I store it loose, right? It needs a little bit of air to stay dry. Otherwise, it's going to just have that wet moisture all over the top of it. But this right here is how it's going to stay crisp and fresh all week. And I'm not kidding. It's going to be just as good 4 days, 5 days from now as it is right now. And then 4 or 5 days from now, when I decide, okay, I need a salad for dinner tonight, that's when I'm going to chop the bell pepper. I'm going to add the cucumber. I'm going to add the wet, moist vegetables. I'm going to add the mushrooms so that they're nice and fresh. So I hope that helps. I hope you learned something. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat. And maybe next week we'll talk about salad dressings, or if you are interested, I can show you how to make mason jar salads so that you can take those to work. Yeah, they're super easy to do, but there is an absolute science to how you want to layer those mason jar salads so that they stay fresh all week. And you can meal prep those just as easily as you can do this. And with those, you can go ahead and add your wet veg. You just have to know where to put it in the mason jar salad, in the layering of that mason jar salad. So let me know in the comments if you've got any questions, and hopefully I can answer them. If you want to see salad dressings without oil, if you want to see high protein salad dressings, or if you want to see those mason jar salads, let me know that, and I will be happy to talk about that with you. Or anything else, feel free to put that in the comments too. And if you don't have any other questions, then oh, wait, one thing left. I forgot to talk about your little add-ins, right? So the sesame seeds, the pumpkin seeds, flax seeds, whatever you like, hemp seeds, croutons, you want to add those when you serve them. And I'm in phase 2 of my hormone supplement support. So I keep mine in this jar. So I would add my hormone supplement seeds as I serve. And that way I know I am doing my body some good, regulating my hormones a little bit better, and hopefully stopping some hot flashes. So you want to do those when you serve as well, because otherwise they're going to get really soggy. And same thing with the mason jars. You would not add those to the mason jar. You would add those later. Okay, now I think I've covered it all, hopefully. Again, fruit. Same thing with fruit. If it's a wet fruit, then I would add it before I served. If you were doing like whole grapes, absolutely you could put them in right now. If you were doing mandarin oranges, I would wait. If you were doing apples, I would wait because they're going to turn brown. If you're doing craisins or something like that, you could add those now because they're dehydrated. They're just going to plump up a little bit. So I'm trying to think of any other fruit that I might add. I don't know. If you think of some, let me know. And I'll see if I can answer that. So, okay. Now I think I've covered it, hopefully. All right. Thanks so much for watching. And I appreciate it. You have an intentional day.